Since it was announced, Back to the Beginning, Ozzy Osbourne's final performance ever, has ignited headlines almost weekly, with everything from its origins as a concept, A-list Hollywood actor-host, ticket sale chaos and accusations, and fluctuating supporting lineups that continue to change even this close to the show. It is quite literally the show to end all shows when it comes to heavy metal history, and who better to have it orbit around than the Prince of Darkness himself. It's an event that's aiming to be the perfect final chapter in the heavy metal history book that has been written by a legacy that rivals any other titanic icon in rock music, as the Prince of Darkness will quite literally take his throne for the final show. It's a bittersweet reminder that all of our heroes are getting old and clocking out, and with heavy metal culture in the age of social media being reduced to industry plants, comment section arguments, and bands screaming over blast beats and calling it metal. Oh my god. I'm an angry old man. I've been telling stories 1 minute at a time for years at this point. It's allowed me to bury my out-of-touch head in the past while also spreading the myths and legends that captivated me to an audience of millions to keep them going. Approaching an event like Back to the Beginning and getting to participate in the conversation around it has been awesome, but once the lights dim on Ozzy Osbourne for the final time, it's going to be a stark reminder of exactly how heavy metal is aging out, but will also allow an icon to have written his final chapter. If you've been following me for a while and you're a fan of my shorter videos, this is the same thing, just longer. I wanted to expand the ceiling on all of the aspects that go into telling these stories and editing them into videos without going full-on 1-hour diatribes like I do every 6 months or so. Make sure you're subscribed and tell your friends. When it was announced in February of 2025, it was accompanied by some major billings, being supported by Black Sabbath's torch-bearing offspring like Slayer, Pantera, and Metallica, among many others, and most importantly, the original founding members of Black Sabbath, obviously Bill Ward included, and taking place in the boys' hometown of Birmingham, the birthplace of heavy metal itself.
I'm going to the greatest show in the world here in a minute. We're going to be up at, I think it's July 5th. I'll be doing Sabbath.
Oh, amazing.
And so I'll be hosting, it's Metallica and Slayer and Guns N' Roses.
The final show, right.
Final show. Yeah. So I get to host. Sharon asked me to host. I was blown away.
After begging organizers and connections he had for tickets, Jason Momoa was recruited to host the event, which is a great way for him to kill time as he waits for his Academy Award for his timeless role in the Minecraft movie and the self-control he exercised as Jack Black said the names of Minecraft items out loud like a coked-up Rain Man. Jackie. Shut the fuck up. God, that dude, social media was ruined for like 2 weeks. Now we have AI Bigfoot though, which is like peak. Yeah, dude. The show aims to showcase not only Black Sabbath's legacy with Ozzy, but also Osbourne's meteoric and insane solo legacy with the inclusion of former collaborators like Jake E. Lee, and of course, Zakk Wylde, who I'm sure will be there to not only represent his own inseparable eras, but to pay tribute to Randy Rhoads for a full-picture performance. Tickets will go on sale just a few weeks after the announcement, and with this show being a definitive historical event, fans across the world were lined up digitally to secure their place in the adoring crowd. But with the modern ticket sale infrastructure, the show would naturally sell out in just minutes, somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 minutes, depending on where you look. Obviously, this would upset those in the queue who missed out and would spark all manner of headlines and speculation, with a lot of talk online crying foul. Commentary suggesting that either scalpers or even the organizers themselves were to blame for the debacle would fill social media, and accusations of Sharon just using this whole thing as a cash grab would follow, even though the proceeds from the show are going to charity, I would guess, to dodge that exact critique. That is purely my speculation. Shortly after the tickets were gripped up, Ozzy would clarify that he would only be doing bits and pieces with Black Sabbath, but anyone who expected otherwise is clearly not paying attention. Ozzy was diagnosed with Parkinson's a few years ago and has barely made on-stage appearances at all in the last few, with the most recent being a partial Sabbath reunion with Tony Iommi at the 2022 Commonwealth Games that took place in Birmingham. Ozzy has been unable to walk around freely for a while now, with the icon being relegated to a wheelchair, and while he has continued to get into the studio to create music, Being on stage and performing for the audience seems to be the life fuel that has carried the icon for over half a century of badness. I'm sure an elaborate throne will be constructed to seat the heavy metal forefather, and he's assured fans that despite the physical limitations that Parkinson's has imposed upon him, his voice is just as good as it ever was. And to make the night a truly special event, worthy of being Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne's swan song, a supporting lineup of undeniably legendary outfits will accompany them. Bands like Tool, Metallica, Slayer, Pantera, and even Guns N' Roses, who would be added just after tickets went on sale, among the other iconic acts that are set to appear. Singular artists will be making appearances on stage as well, representing a wide array of rock and metal acts that were undoubtedly inspired by Black Sabbath. From alternative icons like Billy Corgan to Wolfgang Van Halen, who supported Ozzy on stage during his Hall of Fame induction last year. However, as I was writing this, he announced that he had to pull out to make sure he can make it to Mammoth's upcoming tour kickoff with Creed. There, now it's stuck in your head too. You're welcome. And even new metal's finest like Jonathan Davis and Fred Durst, the list serves as a hefty one. Altogether, the lineup is sure to produce some awesome performances regardless of how the night ends. It's the culmination of over a year of planning, and while I've been hedging expectations pretty heavily for obvious reasons, having it just days away and looking like it might actually happen, largely as the organizers intended it to, is precisely what I was hoping would happen.
When I first heard of Sabbath, though, I was terrified, scared to death. I was a kid in grade school, and somebody brought a Sabbath record in, and the record terrified me. Then I heard rumors of devil worship and this, that, and the other.
Ozzy and Black Sabbath have been foundational to a lot of, if not every, rock and metal icon worth their salt that would follow them. Among the supporting artists, Rage Against the Machine's Tom Morello would even serve as a major backstage player in getting the event organized in the first place. He's an icon among icons and will be serving as the show's musical director, and I'm not really sure what that entails, but good lord does he have a hell of a cast to direct. As a massive Black Sabbath fan and being a certified rock icon himself, he worked heavily behind the scenes to network and politic the show into existence, and if it comes together as the potentially awesome night that it looks like it will be, it could be an effort well worth putting forth. The event has even managed to kick up dirt backstage, more recently with Ozzy's life mate and longtime manager Sharon revealing that an argument with one band's management resulted in them being kicked to the curb before the show was even announced. Obviously, that would be a fuel for wildfire speculation on who exactly the unnamed band was, and with Metallica, Slayer, and Anthrax billed in support, we can all clearly see she's referring to Dave Mustaine and Megadeth. Oh, well, never mind then. We probably won't find out for sure who the offending party was, at least not until after it's all said and done. Metal Hammer just dropped as I was gearing up to make this, with a full feature of Ozzy, Geezer, Tony, and Bill just 1 week ahead of the show, emphasizing that even though this is our farewell to Ozzy Osbourne, it is also a hometown hero celebration of one of rock music's most important bands. And while it certainly isn't the first sit down with the lads, it does signal that the show is going down come hell or high water, and I'm here for it. I once heard Rob Zombie describe everything that came after them as just Black Sabbath riffs played in different orders, directions, and tempos, and whether or not you agree with that, you'd have a tough time arguing against it. The show is set to take place on July 5th, and depending on when you're watching this, maybe it went off great, or maybe it was a massive disappointment. From its announcement, I've been extremely hesitant to even think it was going to happen at all, and I'm not alone with that, as Maynard James Keenan of Tool, who is going to be on the bill, expressed a similar sentiment. But now that it's only a few days away and set to be streamed live for the rest of us to witness the closing of the heavy metal history book, my thoughts have solidified a bit more. Ozzy Osbourne has had an insane history, and as a talentless hack who has spent years now telling you about it, I've dug deeper into his legacy than I ever thought I would, even with he and Black Sabbath having an integral impact on my life. I've seen him on stage and in interviews, living for the live crowd experience, and seeing how his body has turned against him in his old age is a bit of a heartbreak. But his contributions, no matter how riddled with controversy they are, have been undeniably important to not only the music that he made with the legends like Randy Rhoads and Zakk Wylde, but every metal band that would spawn in the wake of the Devil's Interval that wrote the first lines in heavy metal's history. From Diamond Head all the way to whoever's famous now. Sleep Token? Is that the one? I'm really out of touch. Ozzy has influenced the music probably more than any other singular figure in metal history, and if this is what he wants, and the fans are there with open arms and bleeding ears, he more than deserves to have this storybook ending written in his own terms. I'm still wary of the motivations behind the whole thing, and while I'll take it at face value, I suspect that it's going to continue to roll out headline after headline in the weeks following it. Whether it ends up amazing or plays out as a predictable train wreck, it's already a certified historical event, and as somber as it'll feel to be on the other side of it, Ozzy's left behind a legacy of great music and insane stories that will undoubtedly inspire future generations until the end of recorded human history. Very few icons in metal music's history get the chance to have this level of control over their story, and with the hard knock life that Ozzy has lived, the fact that he's even lucid enough to do it, Back to the Beginning is the rightful end to the Diary of a Madman.